Valhalla Discovery Tour. I figured I'd try this for the first time. See how it goes. I know it's been a while since I streamed. It's we got new internet, we're ready to go. I figured with this new mode coming out that it would be a good way to kind of talk about Norse stuff. I'm a bald dude. Moon day, Suna day, Tyr's day, Odin's day, Thor's day, Freya's day, and then Laug day, or washing day, are the different days of the week.
Hi, traveler, and welcome to Discovery Tour Viking Age. Just like the brave Scandinavians who left their homes on longships in search of new horizons, a quest for knowledge and a promise of adventure awaits you. For 3 centuries, adventurers set sail in search of trade, land, and sometimes plunder, changing the world forever in ways that can still be felt today. We call these adventurers Vikings. Some remember them merely as brutal warriors and merciless conquerors. But there is much more to be learned about their rich and complex culture.
I mean, it's Nordic culture. Viking was just a job, but...
History will come alive for you through the eyes of those who lived it. Norse merchants looking to make their fortune. An Anglo-Saxon monk in search of his life's meaning. And even King Alfred himself. You will follow their deeds, both great and small, as their eventful time in play today as England and Norway. But fear, discover Viking Age, a safe, combat-free experience that you can at your own pace and time. Tapping into the years of research of the assassins, its content has been with renowned and academics. On behalf of the entire team, you your journey.
I mean, I really liked the educational parts of the Assassin's Creed Origins. And really got the idea that they knew what they were talking about, and playing Valhalla, I really did not get a indication that they knew what they were talking about. The costuming seemed way off at points, and like the fighting style seemed way off at points, and some cultural aspects seemed kind of off at points, and so we'll see what they have to say. Thorsten. I'm getting a bit of a stutter. Let me know if you guys are getting the same thing.
Your father would be happy to come to the farmer's company.
You'll be off raiding for months, not years. Shorter than your trade routes even. The farm and I will still be here when you return.
And return I shall.
You had better, or I'll come find you.
Trick, do you have any questions for me before I leave?
No. I'll take good care of Gunhilda's reputation while you're away.
I doubt she'll need help, but I'll be glad to know you're here all the same.
Come, Thorstein. The market waits for no man.
Coming, my love. I'm coming, Gunhilda.
Gunhilda. Instead of just Gunhild. Okey-doke.
You coddle him, my love.
Stavanger.
He's a grown man, not an errant child.
Okay, so there's kind of a map of what the old city looked like. Nice.
Slaves, talk, Gunhilda. If he returns to his family and says we mistreated him, slaves, talk, Gunhilda. If he returns to his family and says we mistreated him, I might find myself in a duel.
No duels until you've worked on your swordsmanship.
I'm sure to get practice on this expedition with Harold. Our enemies may not fight with blunted blades, but he's promised me the children of Stavanger are far more fierce.
The children who struck you as you lay sleeping, then ran away laughing? You'll need to keep your wit about you, so.
Stavanger, as with many cities in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, is based on an existing city, also called Stavanger. To reconstruct it, level designers and artists used maps, pictures, and drawings by architect Jean Golvan for gameplay purposes. While not all the towns resembled Golvan's drawings, some iconic details had a signature to the towns of the game, easily recognizable by players. Narrow streets, docks, and a salient longhouse in the distance. They all incite exploration and need for adventure.
We self one. Nice. So far so good, I think. Now I'm trying to pull up my stream so I can look at comments as I go here. Okay, so it looks like okay, yeah, I got viewing. But yeah, I gotta notice that it said that they didn't allow for live streaming, but I didn't know if it was talking about this or some other app I had open. So it looks good that's actually working. Alrighty. So I did like they mentioned slaves and it's a very complex relation in the Norse culture and their slaves, where it's different than, like, per se, American culture with their idea of slavery and making them to be subhuman, the slaves, as opposed to being like indentured servants.
My mother loved the fine woolen cloak you sold me.
My wife takes great pride in the needlework, with good reason.
You've been blessed by dollar. I wish so and handsome.
Talented mother. A very patient husband.
Give Alv me next time you see her.
I will. Fortune.
Dress looks good. Though I would have said it was more like crushed velvet from a distance
Just
instead
think.
of. I did like her brooches. Her shoulders is a little weird, but not something I hate so
we'll have enough
much.
silver to this place for good.
Let's see what we got up here. Okay. Smog's like the western coast, yeah. Estates held by Harold Finehair. Okay.
Just think.
Okay, so that still works. Alrighty. And
Stavanger, as with many cities in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, is based on an existing city called Stavanger. To reconstruct it, level designers and artists used maps and drawings by artist Jean-Claude Golvin as references, adding alterations for gameplay purposes. While not all the towns resembled drawings, some icons helped give a Scandinavian signature to the elements of the game, be recognizable by narrow streets, rocks, and a salient longhouse in the distance. They incite exploration and the need for adventure.
I mean, that's true. The layout is pretty good. Let's see, where did Gunhilda go?
Just think. After a few raids, we'll have enough silver to leave this place for good.
Have you not been happy here?
With you, I would be happy anywhere.
I'm
But
getting very heavy,
Stavanger is
kind of
small.
Too
like
small for the grand dreams of the shepherd's girl.
stuttering.
And why not? Even
my
a worm
side.
may one day hold up the sky.
Anybody watching, if you could
Miguel
in the
has
comments let
promised
me
to
know
aid
if
you
that's
in
what
my
you're
affairs while I'm at
experiencing.
sea. You'll have plenty of time to dream while I'm gone. Miguel, it's a fine day for little business, don't you think?
Get away from here, Thorstein! I won't be seen dealing with an oathbreaker!
Oh, what?
Keep your voices down. On what grounds do you base this outrageous claim?
That is for you and Bjorn to discuss!
Bjorn. That's me.
I can't believe he'd betray me like this.
I can't discuss.
You haven't known
myself,
Mikkel
that's
that long.
right.
He has to protect his own reputation first.
Not him, Bjorn.
Ah, he's always sniffing about your trades like a wild dog. He envies your success and wishes to take it for himself.
Well, we won't let him. We've worked too hard for him to take this chance away from us now. We will not let Bjorn get away with this, I swear it.
Thorstein means Thor's stone. Feuds and vengeance. I mean, feuds is a very big part of Norse culture, and trying to avoid feuds. Vengeance was the only proper answer, seeing none as a sacred duty, but as a vested right. a shameful individual. Yeah, so, I mean, it was kind of a secret duty, though, because, I mean, your family's honor directly held to your Haminya, or your luck in the, which is the prosperity of your family for future generations. So it was kind of a sacred duty in order to make sure that you upheld your honor, disputed any kind of like assertions that you, and where you might lose value within the community. Oh, nice! I've seen that done in person. Justice and honor. Yeah, so I mean, like, honor back, or like nowadays, kind of means like integrity, you know, kind of like, oh, I'll always do the right thing. But like back in the day, it was mostly just like your reputation in your community. Your community was everything. It was your lifeblood, your survival, you know. Gothi Orla Keeper. That is what I was. So Gothi was leader of the community and held a great social and political influence in Scandinavia society. He presided over the assembly where decisions on trade, war, and politics were made. Very true. Kind of like a translated as a chieftain. Religious leaders who lived and maintained temples in the O3. And then in Iceland, in later Viking, they kind of became leaders over areas. And then when they converted to Christianity, became priests over parishes. It was the exact people. It wasn't even like new people being set up as Christian priests. The pagan Gothis became the Christian priests, kind of maintaining that same social order. Yeah, the person of the gods, or Gothi. They had a religious role. Yeah, peace in the community was super. Yeah, and the thing of Gothi in front of a Thor statue, painted by Johann Ludwig Gebhard in the 19th. What's important is that just because is closer to the Viking Age century versus 20th century, like closer doesn't mean it's more accurate, because we've found archaeologically and actually have more knowledge sharing now than they did years ago. Something to keep in mind with old herbs, but it doesn't seem too precise to the basics, and it's not trying to depict. Actually have patterns of what statues look, and that we know that wasn't so was not so photorealistic. We weren't trying to realism, but more their relation to things. It's an animist sort of art. Yeah, slaves were a significant part of Scandinavian society, sometimes brought by merchants and raiders. They were sold to wealthy households and helped free men and women with their daily chores. Let's see what it says more. The chains have been used to restrain newly arrival slaves, some of whom would have been traded in markets and captured in raids. If a child was born to a slave, it was the social status of the mother rather than the father that was passed to the newborn. Sometimes slaves could regain or buy their freedom, which is true. Bondi or freeman could also, under extreme circumstances, renounce his status in order to sell himself and his family as slaves. This was notably the case of slavery for debt, where an indebted individual gave up his freedom until he had paid back what he owed, at which point he and his family would be free once again. So if you were a slave and you were brought in from an outside country and you'd earned your freedom, they actually had an option to, if there was this kind of like idea of how much value your labor gave and how much you were worth, and this idea that you could become a free man if you gained enough honor, like as a slave, and were a member of the community. If you converted to the Norse religion and adopted their culture and became a member of the community, you could end up being a free man in this society. And obviously skin tone or anything, they had no concept of ethnicity really. Just kind of tribes, family groups, those kinds of things. And if you had kids with a slave, again, it's the mother who carried the status. So if the father was a free man, that was the owner, and the mom was the slave, then obviously the babies would be born as slaves, but then the owner might have the option of freeing you as slaves if you're his only heirs, and needs to maintain that family. There's a duty to maintain family lines and provide people, to the community. Yeah. Cool. Good so far. Yeah, so I think this will be a pretty good tool to kind of just get conversations going about different aspects of Norse culture that a lot of the in-game play doesn't really afford, and kind of create this dialogue. So and of course the dialogue is two ways. I mean, either you if you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to just ask questions directly, and I have my chat open now, so I can see your questions and answer those. Oh, come on, I missed it. That's a tall dude. I like his hat. Okay. The Felag, or Fellowship, was a legal, social, and business fellowship formed to where people, members of the Felag, often became trusted companions. So kind of like it's a cognate with the English Fellowship. Felags were formed for a number of reasons. Building a boat or funding sea voyages. A married couple could also be referred to as a felag. Yeah, it's kind of a business partnership between families, sure. The family was like a second family, felag, or members of the fellowship as companions and their interests. If a felag was killed, one of his fellows would avenge him, take care of his funeral, arrange arrangements in honor. His memory, just like a family, immortalizing him in a runestone and was erected. 3 surviving members of a 15th partner, whom they called the most unvillainous of men. Yeah, so I mean, who you into partnership with, I mean, is very important because it's going to reflect and be your duty to carry on that kind of like family honor. It's almost like having a family member, you know. And it's something I take very seriously as far as the kinds of people I want to be associated with. So, being called an oath breaker, like apparently Bjorn has called me, is very serious. It's going to be solved probably by Holmgang.
What falsehoods have you been spreading about my family's honor?
Nothing but the truth. This sail your wife made, that you sold me, is as rotten as your intentions. You wish for me and my men to drown on the open ocean, where our bodies would never be found.
Are you a fool? Even if I wanted to leave you stranded and sail west alone, Harold would never allow it. He would make me rescue you, and then we would all be doomed.
I don't claim to understand you, Oathbreaker, but your methods are plain. I believe I'll go inform Harold of your duplicity. He should be arriving in a moment now.
My love, that is no work of mine.
I know. This was done by a hand far coarser than yours. Bjorn is trying to sabotage my place on the expedition.
You cannot let him accuse you in front of the assembly. No chieftain would ever take you on again. I will not see my parents starve because of Bjorn's lies.
Then I must gather evidence and bring his falsehoods to light.
I will speak with the wives, to rally them to our cause. And I will pray to the Hamminja for guidance.
Our ancestors will give you wise counsel, I'm sure. I'll see you outside the assembly.
Your your ancestral luck.
These crates came from north. Local wares then.
Oh. Public. Damn it, that's... Yeah. Okay, you guys are very loud. Almost as loud as the chat.
Tell me, did Bjorn accept any wares these past few days?
Surely he did. I carried them myself, wet and nasty they were, smelling as if they'd been stored at the water's edge.
Did you happen to see what was inside?
No, but it had that damp sheep smell. Wool, I suppose.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh, there's a witness. Water's edge. You know, what kind of evidence you could bring? I mean, the legal system in Viking Age Scandinavia was pretty intense. You know, all kinds of law codes and rules and provisions in order to avoid prolonged feuds and wars, stuff like this, you know. I never claimed to be very good at this game or very smart. I probably would walk right past the clues.
That is Gunhilda's stitching. So Bjorn planned to take her sail for himself after all.
They agreed. So you could just replace it with
I'll need to be more
the right
than
one.
my word against Bjorn. I'll need people to vouch for me as well.
Witnesses are always very important, whether you're swearing an oath or... Again, your entire life is based around your reputation in the community, so the more people you have to back you, the more true you probably are. I don't want to say Norse society was just popularity contest, but it kind of was a popularity contest. It did make you do things like treat your slaves well and stuff, because you don't want to be stingy or greedy or, you know, you want to be fair. Runes and runestones. Runes were both magic symbols and alphabetic characters engraved on stone, and they created runestones. Yeah. So that's the rune Pertho. Older Futhark, which is not Viking Age. So that's a bad example. Especially an individual stone like that instead of, you know, big tall runestones, but whatever. The Old Norse rune, meaning secret or esoteric knowledge. Runes made up the Futhark, or runic alphabet, but each rune has a unique meaning. For example, the rune Wunjo, engraved on this little bloodstone, is the letter W, as well as rune for joy and kinship. Elder Futhark again, which comes from Proto-Germanic era, Scandinavian or Viking, but, you know, pre-Germanic tribes. As with all written words, runes could carry memories and histories into the future. By engraving them in stone, the Scandinavian stories would endure. Runestones told a variety of stories. They could also honor people and events. Sometimes women would order a runestone engraved to commemorate the courage of their husbands and sons who perished or battle or at sea. Yeah, I mean, I'd like my headstone to stone. I'm actually kind of planning the design for that, but you know.
Friends, neighbors, listen to me. Bjorn has declared me Oathbreaker, calling my good name into question.
We saw the sail. It would have torn in the first gust of wind.
That was a sail he bought from Notfall, carried to us in sea-soaked wood. My wife's sail, he kept aside for himself, to use once he reached the open sea.
I am familiar with Gunhilda's stitching. That sail was no work of her hands. What reason does Bjorn have to lie? If revealing the truth is as simple as you say.
He hoped to turn Harold against me, to keep me from tomorrow's expedition, to hide the truth until I had already been exiled. If you care for we who will travel with him, this insult cannot go unanswered. He would endanger his crew for a petty grievance. He is unworthy of command.
And getting people on your side keeps things in the open. I mean, you wouldn't do things behind people's backs or secretly.
Inform Harold Jarl. Only then will our safe return be assured. Are you with me?
The chances are, you know that their word's going to get told, and then you're going to have a direct confrontation. This wasn't about avoiding confrontation or being cowardly like that. The assembly, or the thing. Yeah. Fashion. Let's see what they have to say here. Deep, richly colored fabrics were valuable, yes. Very bright colors. Colors, but the material had been dyed more than once because dyeing was expensive. Wearing colorful clothing was a sign of wealth, and you know, if you want to have a good reputation in the community, you project wealth. Some colors were intended specifically for high society. According to archaeologists, blue fabrics were often worn by the very wealthy. Yes, blue dye is very hard. Jewelry was in a social status. The more expensive the jewelry, the wealthier its wearer. The size, material, and quantity of the piece of jewelry determined their value. Silver was the most common metal in jewelry. Gold would have been worn only by the very wealthy individuals. Colorful glass or stone beads were also prized fashion accessories. So, you wanted to project an air of good luck. I mean, nobody's going to want to marry into your family or be a part of you if you don't bring good luck to the table, which means, you know, wealth or those kinds of things. It was a very kind of classist society. Obviously, it had castes such as slaves and whatnot, but they didn't, you know, very kindly of those who were not seen as contributing. Creation of Ivor. The hooded cloak, red sash, only a few subtle details, hints of the assassin's background. Yeah.
Every detail matters when designing a main character. Personality, backstory,
Hi, Kelpie.
mannerisms. Eivor, the wolf-kissed, must have a noticeable scar and tattoos to represent past events, beliefs, and clan affiliation. A mood board was made with various references from Mad Max Furiosa to Major Motoko Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell, which allowed concept artists to create compositions, silhouettes, shapes, and concepts. Then the character modelers designed the details, hairstyles, tattoos, outfits, and even leather stitching, while animators focused on body movement and facial expressions. Finally, actors Magnus Brun Nielsen and Cecily Stenspill were cast to give Eivor a voice, tailored to her or his personality. It's alive! Alive!
That's cheesy. And you know, mood boards is Mad Max is, you know, so relevant to Norse culture. Now we got all these weird LARPers going around, looking like they've come right out of Mad Max. This dystopian nonsense. There we go. Thing or assembly. Things for hell year. Chieftain working it over every session. It was sometimes replaced by the Gothi, who laws by heart. His own anchor. Numbered because this had no written legal code at the every free right to speak freely at their opinions, ask questions, and on issues of social, also demand social justice for crimes, or even though all freedmen had heard, the wealthier members used their influence to decisions their way. When Scandinavians settled in Iceland, they had their thing in called the Thingvellir, the assembly field. There's a voting Vellir today. The thing assembly was. So usually you had a spring, the Vart thing, or spring thing. You had the midsummer thing, and then you had the Host thing, or the autumn thing. So about 3 times a year, you gather and have disputes held out and judgment passed.
I found your sail and the mark of the goods Bjorn claimed were ours. His lies are already falling apart.
You've done well, but I fear what you have found may not be enough to convince the Assembly. What will you do?
I will demand a Manyapnater and declare my own deeds as evidence that my word holds more weight than Bjorn's. His reputation cannot compete with ours.
A sound plan. I have rallied the wives to our cause and prayed to the gods. Even if you lose, my silver-tongued warrior, the women will make the Assembly see reason.
I see my heart beats as fiercely as ever.
Go now. Reclaim our honor.
Forsetti, bless me as I defend my honor.
And Forsetti being the son of Balder, god of judgment, legal disputes. Ugh. Well, good doggo. So yeah, no, I mean, there's so far a really good representation of actual culture in this mode. I'm actually enjoying this more than the regular game. Yeah, all the information packed and Manyafnjar. Medieval Scandinavians were quick to defend their honor. Someone who felt disrespected could ask for a contest to determine who was the right in one such trial by combat. The weapons used were words, so it's like humming, yeah, but with interesting. That I don't know so much about.
Thorstein Oathbreaker! Come to beg forgiveness with your tail between your legs!
Men of the Assembly, Bjorn claimed the sail I sold him was rotten. But I have found Gunhilda's work hidden, and the sail he claimed was mine came in sea-soaked wood from Notfall. He sought
I mean,
to
it's a good
ruin my
example
reputation
of what kind of
to cover
disputes you
up
could
his
have.
poor trade. All so he could claim Harold's favor as his own.
Thorstein, if what you say is true, Bjorn is guilty of lying, injury to your reputation, and of an arrogance that could have led to the deaths of his crew and yours. Yet he was the one to bring you before the Assembly. So now you must choose. How will you defend your honor?
We will have combat aplenty across the sea. I choose the Manyapnater.
See how this goes.
Come then. My tongue is as sharp as my blade. Declare yourself worthy, if you can.
A verbal joust. During the duel, listen carefully to what your opponent is saying. Select the most suitable and accurate answer within the available choices to win the duel. But beware, you only have a limited time to answer. So is this like part of the gameplay, or was this actually a thing? I mean, it seems kind of like the flighting mechanics that they set up in the actual game.
I'm the finest of navigators, at home on the sea.
Yet the ships and the rations were handpicked by me.
True, but I was the first to be picked for this crew.
And Harold sought me when he already had you.
How can he believe you are the better choice? You're playing him for a fool. You're a liar, a thief, and a braggart, a pest.
My worst is still better than you at your best.
No truer words have ever been spoken. It's a shame I have to step in. It's clear that Thorstein is the one who has been wronged. It is my suggestion that Bjorn be removed from my expedition and exiled, never to return. His lands and trade goods will be forfeit, gone to pay the costs of finding another
he's shown that
navigator
he's just
with
an
no
injury
little
to
time
the
spare.
community with this kind of selfish, manipulative behavior, so he's exiled.
Named you a murderer and
Anything.
demanded your death.
Any free man
What
should be
say
able
you, men
to
of
kill him.
Stavanger? Do you accept the terms put forth by Harald Jarl?
We choose exile.
Exile.
Exile! Then it is decided. Now come, Thorstein. We have a navigator to find.
Like, that is what I imagine Harold Finer actually probably looked like. A lot better than the Harold in Vikings. Bjorn's exile. Honor and household. Hooray! Honor restored. Nice. Well, that's pretty fun. Yeah, so this was a good look at the this kind of educational tour in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and yeah, a good look at what the cultures they have. I think, or what kind of cultural representation they have. Yeah, so far I'm quite pleased, actually. More pleased with the actual Scandinavian representation of culture than they had in the actual game. The actual game was all about just like England, really, the Saxon culture. I think they underestimated how much people were interested in actually learning and pursuing, you know, the Nordic culture. And this kind of gives us a good opportunity to really kind of dive more into the Norse aspects. Like, I kind of wish the, well, hello there. You seem to be having a problem there, bud. Yeah. Ooh, the Aurora. Kin and household. Family was the cornerstone of ancient Scandinavia. Persons' spiritual and legal identity was tied to their family and heritage. Very, very true. The family was the smallest unit of society. Members shared more than blood, bound together by a spirit. Mingya. It's kind of a part of their multi-soul complex. Mingya was responsible for the luck of the family. Your ancestors, a person in the eyes of the law, inheritance around the family, individual, a part of lineage or legally recognized. That's how you did. Just to honor one's living or dead, stories and deeds on. Yeah. So that's kind of a great takeaway about Norse culture, and I think that'll probably it for now. It's been about an hour of gameplay, and we'll see what's next later. Thank you for listening, and have a good day, and see you.